I'm Tracey Bailey, and today we're going to learn how to sew your pointe shoes properly. You're going to start with your ribbons. You take the ribbon and you take it apart and fold it directly in half. And just slice that down the middle. And then you do that one more time. Fold it in half. Right down the middle, slice it. So now you have 4 ribbons. You then take your lighter and you gently just quickly go through there, and the wax that's in the fibers helps so that the ribbons will not fray. And you do that on all 8 ends of the ribbons so that they don't fray either on the part that ties or the part that you sew on the inside. You want every part of the ribbons to be burned, just like that. Now that you've prepared your ribbons, you need to prepare your elastic. You're given a piece of elastic that's really long. We're going to eventually cut it. So what you want to do is you want to start with burning the edge of that as well, just to get it so it doesn't fray. And then you take your pointe shoe, and the elastic will go about 1 thumb's width from the top and off to the side of the center, right about there. Now that your elastic is ready for sewing, as you can see, I've begun the whip stitch. All you're doing is you're going down through the satin, up through the elastic, and around. And you do that all the way around the shoe. To see a completed version of it, you can see here the whip stitch was done all the way around, and then I put a few stitches going across. You do not want that to go through this section of the shoe because that is your drawstring, and if you sew through that, they won't be able to tighten and pull the drawstring. That's where the elastic goes. Once you have this piece of the elastic on, then you have to measure this elastic on the dancer's foot. The best way to do that is you take the shoe and you slide it on the foot. You take your elastic and you pull it over so that it's pretty tight, and you go about the thumb again to there, and that's where you will cut the elastic. Once you've prepared this side of the elastic and measured it, you will sew it exactly the same. So then your shoe ends up looking like this on either side with your elastic, and you have enough, it should be tight enough that it stays on their foot, but not so tight they can't get it on their foot. You take your ribbon that's been burned on either edge, and you're going to fold your ribbon. You take it and you fold it 1 and you fold it 2. We do this because once we put it in the proper place, it's going to reinforce where you sew it, whereas if you sew it just like this, it usually frays and falls apart. The way you know where to put the ribbon is you take your pointe shoe and you fold it down like so. Your ribbon goes in this hole right here. So your shoe is folded all the way and it goes right up against where that part is. That's usually the best place to know where to put the ribbon. So it'll go just there. Okay, so now as you can see, same thing. You're doing the same whip stitch that you did with the elastics. You're going in and around, and you're basically making a box around the outside. This is a finished version of what your ribbons will look like. I always like to take the shoe this way when I'm doing the ribbons. It's a little easier to do the sewing. And again, I sewed across, just down and through, but I did not go through the drawstring. I kept the box right there. As you can see, I have the shiny side of the ribbon facing inward, and this is the dollar side on the outside. The reason we do that is because as the dancer progresses and begins performing on stage, the pointe shoes end up being matte sprayed. We take a spray and it makes all the pointe shoes one color, because this is a color and someone else has a different color, and it makes all of the shoes look more uniform. If the dancers are used to sewing the ribbons this way, they don't have to think about it as they get older. Now that your pointe shoes have their ribbons and elastic, they're ready to go. However, don't wear your pointe shoes until you've been properly instructed on how to wear them. You could seriously injure yourself. What you want to do is wait until your first class, have your instructor show you how to properly tie the ribbons and how to properly work on them so that you do not hurt yourself. Hope you enjoy pointe class.